How,
Hello,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Where in the world are you?
I'm currently in Valencia in Spain.
Well, we will certainly talk about why you're in Valencia in a moment. And how are you keeping?
Yeah, I'm doing very well.
Is it a bit sunny there, or is that just a bit of shade in the background?
No, it's sunnier than home, so it is definitely, and a bit warmer too.
A bit warm. I'd say it is a bit warm. It's not too bad here. Well, in Dublin, it's not too bad, I guess. And you're keeping well.
I am, yeah.
Good. Well, you're very good for joining us. I know we only have a half an hour, and with these things, there's so much to get through. So, we will try jump into a bit of everything, a bit of why you're in Valencia, a bit about the course, a bit about coming to DCU, your experiences, and anything else. I just want to say, actually, before we get talking, there is a chat function, a Q&A, sorry, function on your screen. So, for those that are watching, if you think of a question and you have something you want to ask myself or Laura, probably more so, just pop it in there. It'll be an anonymous question. I won't read out your name. So, if you think you want to ask something a little bit further, by all means, please use that function. I'll mention that in a few minutes time just to remind people again. But first, maybe let's go right to the point. What's in Valencia?
Well, I'm currently doing my final year of international business in Spanish with DCU, and I'm supposed to be in doing an Erasmus in Valencia at the moment. But because everything went online, I had the opportunity then. I just said, I kind of really want to be in Spain. So I got in a flight with my friend Emer, who's also in my course, and the two of us have moved out here for, we've been out here now 2 weeks, and we'll be here until about Christmas time.
Wow, so you just jumped on a plane and headed off.
Yeah, that's it.
You're making the most of it, and fair play. And it's sunny, as you said there. So what's it like over there in comparison to home in terms of the current situation?
So Valencia's actually got some of the lowest incidence rates in Spain in general. And just like home, like when they had the county level lockdowns, like there's certain places in Spain that are worse at the moment. Valencia, though, in terms of that, is they're not as strict. Unlike home, we have to wear masks anytime we leave the apartment. So when you're in the streets, like if you're walking in the park, you are expected to wear a mask, and there's heavy fines if you don't obey your orders. So that's the only real difference. Other than that, it kind of is life as usual. Now, we did have there's a curfew now, so we have to be in our apartments from 12 until 6 in the morning. So that's the only real difference. Apart from that, having a great time over here. So
I was going to say, other than that, you're enjoying life. Fair play to
yeah,
you.
definitely.
We might rewind back because there is a decent audience watching, listening in the moment. We might rewind back to where I've started with a few of the other conversations in previous weeks. Is maybe tell people a little bit about your journey to DCU. So maybe why you chose it, or maybe you had something else on the CEO, and then we might talk a little bit about the course then and what's involved in the course.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Donegal, obviously the accent, but I traveled up from home to DCU in 2017. So when I was in, no, it might have been 2016, when I was in sixth year of, when I was in Leaving Cert, I went up to the open day, the November open days in DCU, and I went to the course talks. And at that time, I was interested in studying primary teaching, but also wanted to look into business and Spanish because I really enjoyed learning a language at second level. So I went to the talks and got speaking to some of the lecturers after they did the talks, and I was really interested more so in business and Spanish at that stage because I heard about like going abroad, living abroad, getting to attend university, and the opportunities to work abroad as well. So after speaking to the lecturer and telling him my dilemma, I suppose, with didn't know whether to do teaching or business in Spanish, he said to me, if you study business in Spanish and you go on then you want to do your master's in teaching, the likelihood of you getting into a master's is very much higher because you'll have a second language, and that'll be very attractive in that sense. So that kind of set me off then, and I was like, yeah, business in Spanish is the way to go. So I think out of the 10 choices I put in my CEO, then the top five, I'm pretty sure, were DCU. I was looking into global business in Spanish, and obviously they have the really high points, global business USA and Canada. Also looked into them, but I had international business down as well, and ended up getting that as my choice on CEO day. So looking back on it afterwards, I was really, really happy with the decision. And obviously it got me to where I am today now here in Spain. So
And there you are flying off to Spain just to take in the sun. I want to actually, you reminded me of something there, but I'll first ask about the course. I do want to ask about maybe the differences between international and global business in a couple of moments, because some people, as you were, look at both and the options, as you mentioned there. But let's maybe talk a little bit about international business itself. I guess lots of people naturally enough want to know, and there's lots of people watching, and they do the research, what's in the course in terms of modules. So give us a sense of, I guess, year one and just an overview of year one, kind of right through, and what's involved in the course.
So the course is basically split into 2/3 business modules and 1/3 language modules. So in each semester you do 6 modules, 4 of which will be business, and 2 of them are language modules. Most of the business modules you'll do will be very similar to the business modules that they do in the business studies degree. You could be in a lot of the same classes, so big lecture halls of sometimes 400 people, doing modules like you cover accounting, finance, economics, micro and macro, marketing, HR. What else have we looked into? With international business, you also do modules that are very much based on working in an international workplace. So you do global business environment. We did one last year for it was like a branch of marketing. It was consumer behavior. So I really enjoyed that one. And then in final year, you choose one of 5 specialisms. So you do 2 core business modules, and then you choose a specialism subject where you do 2 modules of that for your final year. So you get to choose either finance, you get to choose out of finance, economics, marketing, HR, and what's the last one? Management.
Yeah, management.
Yeah.
Go on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. And for the language modules, then your first year, you can start at beginner's level with languages such as Japanese, Spanish, German, and Chinese. And then you have to have done French for your leaving cert if you want to do international business and French. And you have to get a H4 in that in order to progress on with that in university, because they only start the French from intermediate level. The rest you can do from beginners. And in terms of language modules, you're covering a lot of technical kind of the technical sides of the language, and you do culture modules as well to get to know different things about the country, really setting you up for doing your Erasmus in your 3rd year. And then last year when I was in 2nd year, we did modules that were focused on business kind of language that they use, because when you do your Erasmus, you're expected to do some of your lectures through the host language. So when I do my Erasmus, I'm coming to Valencia, I'll be doing most of my business lectures through Spanish. So they really set you up to get you at a high level, so you're able to study through your chosen language then on your Erasmus.
So if I could press pause then from it. So you did, or came to say open days, and you did your research, and you had your education and maybe a bit of global business, and now you landed on international business eventually. Then you came up into the university. Can we just touch on that for a moment? Because obviously lots of people come, and you're from Donegal, lots of people come from, Donegal or all over the country, really, outside of Dublin. And then you come into, say, a first year international business class, which is mixed with general business. The class size is quite big. Try give us a sense, and maybe you didn't have too much challenges, but a sense of maybe the first couple of weeks and kind of settling in, and how the university operates, and what you do the kind of first few weeks to find and settle into new friends and so on.
Yeah, so obviously coming from somewhere that was so far away from Dublin, and Dublin was very far-fetched for me as well. It was really daunting coming to move to a city. DCU, I found, though, was kind of like its own little hub. You didn't need to go into the city centre to get a sense of city life. Like it really is its own community. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I was lucky enough to live on campus in first year as well, which was really handy for me to get to know my way around and like meet people. So I met a lot of people through where I was living. I lived in Larkfield, which is just for first years. And then in my first few weeks of college, I got to know a few people on my course, but mainly branched out into clubs and societies. So that was a big step for me, putting myself out there. I knew I had to do it because obviously there wasn't a lot of people came from my school to DCU, so I didn't know a lot of people in the college before that. So it is a challenge in the first few weeks, I say, to put yourself out there, but it's well worth it in the end. You will find your people, and I ended up finding mine then when I joined societies.
I just want to remind people there's a Q&A function on the screen. If, as we're talking here, you want to ask a question, please do so. It will be anonymous, and I don't have to read out your name, but that function is there. So if I could then touch on a little bit around, because I will follow up with clubs and societies and student ambassador and outside the classroom now in a couple of minutes as well. Definitely want to touch on that. But some people, as I said a few moments ago, look at international or global business and I'm not quite sure. And obviously there's slightly higher points with global in some in USA and Canada and so on. Differences between the two programs, and I know you're not in global, but differences between the two programs for what you know.
Yeah, so a lot of the differences I learned were actually, I learned them through friends that I made that were in global business. So I think it's really important that people know them now that are looking at the course. Basically, global business, with the languages you study, so with global business, you can do global business USA, global business Canada, you can do global business Germany, global business Spain, and French, or global business France. So with USA and Canada, you can actually study a language with your degree. So say if I went on to do global business USA or global business Canada, they give you the option in some of your electives, you get to keep on maybe your Spanish for first and second year before you go away, if that's an option that you'd like to take. But yeah, so global business, you do your first 2 years in DCU, and then you move abroad and complete your final 2 years of the degree in your chosen country. So you could be in America, Canada, etc. But that's the main difference, is it's 2 years abroad, and it's known as a dual degree, because you get your degree from DCU, and then after that you get your degree from your the other university that you've studied at. It's a great course because there is intra-placement within it. So you do an intra-placement when you're in Dublin in DCU, and then you do an intra-placement when you're abroad as well. So coming out of a degree, an undergraduate degree with 2 degrees essentially and work experience, is like, it's amazing to try and get into the workplace. I just know, I know from hearing about it, people that are on that degree just get snapped up straight away as soon as they've graduated. They have such good experience, it's such good cultural experience. Some of them will have languages as well as the cultural experience, and just like living abroad and adapting to a new situation. They are sought after highly, so they are.
There's 2 questions in, and I don't know if you'll be able, but I'll ask them anyway. So thanks for these 2 questions. But did Laura do Spanish for the Leaving Cert, and did you find the language difficult coming into the course?
Yeah, so I studied Spanish from first year to 6th year of secondary school, and I obviously chose then to keep it on because I really enjoyed studying languages. I have to say something, as I always say this when I'm doing these talks and talking about the course, studying a language at 3rd level is very different to studying at 2nd level, purely for the fact that when you're in secondary school, you could have 5 Spanish classes a week. You could be in there Monday to Friday for an hour, and you get your homework then in the evening. You go home and you study it and you write your sentences or whatever. It's very different in university. You could have 1 lecture on a Monday and you could have 1 on a Thursday, and that could be it for the week. There's so much independent study involved in studying a language at 3rd level, so that you're expected to do a few hours yourself, obviously, to try and keep up the language. So whether that be reading articles in Spanish, is what I do, is like I read articles in Spanish. I'd flick onto an app on my phone and check the newspapers. Even simple stuff like a lot of people change the settings on their phone to their chosen language just to get used to smaller words. And as well as that, I know a lot of people would maybe watch Netflix in their chosen language and put the subtitles on the screen. And part of the reason I've kind of moved over here at the moment as well is because I haven't physically spoken Spanish to a lot of people. So I wanted to improve that aspect of it. And that's really what the Erasmus does. It sets you up that you're able to have a full-blown conversation with someone in a whole other language. So yeah, very different to second level.
I want to follow up on that, kind of how different is college to kind of second level now in a second, but I just want to get to 2 questions quickly. And Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, but a question came in around global business. And do you pay the fees, the DCU fees, if you like, or the Irish fees, or the international college fees in America? And my understanding is you pay the Irish fee, is it?
Yeah, so you pay the DCU fees. The same with international business. If you do the Erasmus, you're paying your DCU fees as well.
Yeah. And then another one, and kind of last one, thanks, keep these questions coming in, is what placements do we get in DCU and in the other country? You might have some ideas, our friends, etc.
Yeah, so I know from friends doing their interplacement last year, the inter office, which is integrated workplace, they work alongside the students to help place them in a placement in DCU. And I'm not 100% sure about when they go abroad. I think it's if there's help available in the universities, I'm sure they can apply through them. Otherwise, it's very easy to connect with people on LinkedIn. There's always internships up online. So getting an internship usually isn't hard, and especially if you have the experience of doing one in DCU before you go away, that'll put you high up on the list as well.
Yeah, and just to remind people, this is obviously a 30-minute chat, but we're always on student help at dcu.ie at any point today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. If you do have a question, so don't worry if you think of something in half an hour's time and you want to ask, you can come back to us. I want to ask you a little bit about, and then I want to go on clubs and sides, but a little bit about what you said there, and the difference between, say, second level and third level. And now that you're a few years into your experience, maybe looking back, is there anything that surprised you or you do differently, or that was something you researched and kind of maybe it actually happened? Anything that you're looking back on now that for those that are listening, you could maybe tell them a bit about that?
Yeah, I'd say definitely looking into courses, look at the modules you're going to study. That's something I didn't look into very much at all. So I honestly really didn't have a clue about what kind of modules I'd be doing. I was really nervous then when I went into first year. I didn't realize I'd have to do accounting straight off the bat, and I had never done accounting before. And like I remember sitting in the exam and talking to people around me and saying like, "Oh, are you nervous for this exam?" They were like, "I did it for my leaving, so it'll be grand." And I was there like, "Oh God, that's not what I wanted to hear." But no, definitely research into your modules. As well as that, like, don't be afraid to reach out to people, like on platforms like we have Unibuddy, there's the Instagram page, like questions, like we're more than happy to answer them at any time. What else? I'd say first year advice I would give myself from starting college would be to go to the library sooner. The library was a building that was so big, it was daunting to me. And I didn't go until I think a few days before my first big assignment was due. And I was like, this is great crack. It's like a hub for loads of people that are doing like similar things to you, you know, especially assignment season and whatnot. You'll always meet people that'll be there to give you a hand. Like, so definitely go to the library. They have so many resources as well. Sure, I hadn't written a paper or done an assignment before going into university. Referencing all that kind of stuff like was so scary. They have so many things available to help you there. Like, and I know they've moved online this year. They have so many different classes that they're doing with people, teaching them how to reference. So if I had known about that sooner, I'd say it would have been hell of a lot easier than me trying to YouTube videos on how to Harvard reference the night before I had an assignment due. So
I wanted to just mention as well, because you mentioned library and student hub and so on. There is lots of facilities, and we won't get time to talk about everything, but lots of resources, supports, units, the student help and support, student development and student support and development unit in DCU that give the students so much support. So if there is something going on financially, well-being, changing course, etc., there is lots of units that are there. And again, if people have questions, happy to take them and talk to you directly at length on that. I do want to definitely talk about outside the classroom, because I guess, and I'm a former student at DCU, so I've seen it and been involved with it, but every time you talk to a student or an ambassador or anybody in DCU, society life, getting involved outside the classroom is such a massive part of what goes on. Obviously inside the classroom, as you mentioned, is very important, getting a job and so on. What are you doing outside the classroom? And we only have a couple of minutes, so you're going to have to keep your experiences, because I know you're doing loads outside the classroom. What goes on outside the classroom? Yeah.
So in the first few weeks, I actually I remember it was at the Clubs and Societies Fair. So this is the big fair they have in the first few weeks of college, trying to get freshers involved in different societies. And I was walking past a stand, and there was actually a girl from Donegal on the stand, and she was like, "Laura Foody, I know you can sing." And I was like, "Oh God, here we go." I was like, maybe singing isn't what I want to do when I go to college. Maybe I should join tennis or something like that there. But she got me, and she says, "You have to sign up for this thing." I was like, "What is this?" And she was like, "It's called the Glee Society." And I was like, "I've never watched the show or anything like that there." I was like, "I don't know if I have an interest in this." She was like, "No." She was like, "It's kind of like a choir." I was like, "Okay." So I signed up. and she was like, we have auditions next week, so you have to go to the audition and like sing a verse of the chorus of a song. I was like, right, okay. Got home and I remember telling my roommate about it, and she was like, that'd be so good, like you'd really enjoy that. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Then 20 minutes then before the audition the following week, I was like, I really don't know if I want to do this. And then she was like, I'll just go for it. So I was like, grand. I went and done the audition, everything was fine. I remember I went home that weekend, and on the bus back up on the Sunday night, I got an email, and I was sitting beside my friend, who she was going to college in Dublin as well. I was like, oh, I got into this Glee Society thing, and I was like, I don't know if it's me, like I don't know if I want to do it, like and she was like, oh sure, go for it, like it'd be grand. I was like, yeah. I says, I'll go for the first week and I might drop out of it then if I don't like it. And my God, I entered the first, we had rehearsals then, because the whole thing is you get into a cast and then you go on and do a show in March. So our first rehearsals then were in like October time, and I went in and I was like, I just went in, I could sense like that the people were so similar to me, and just the crack, like it was going to be great fun. So I knew from that moment on, I was like, this is going to help me properly settle into college. I found my people now, and it was the best decision I made, was joining that there. I've got so much more than just singing with a group of people out of it. We started after my first year of doing it, like we sold out the Helix in our first show. It was incredible. I'd all my family and friends up from Donegal to see it as well. Like it was such a great achievement. And because we had worked so hard for it throughout the year. And then last year, I became a member of the committee. So I was the PRO, which is the public relations officer. I was in charge of running all the social media and connecting with people who were messaging the page, and putting out the marketing, I suppose, as well. I got to use my skills from my course and mix them with something that was totally outside of what I wouldn't nearly dream of relating something like that to business, like a singing club. But I was able to use so many skills that I'd learned from doing like even computers. We done IT skills in first year, and we had a marketing course. I was able to apply things I'd learned from that there. And then this year, then obviously we went online. We had to totally innovate and try and still keep people connected to the society and get people involved. So we've been working hard over the last few weeks to try and move everything to a virtual level. What else have I done? Last year as well, I done the mentorship program, which is with the DCU alumni office. They offer it to second year undergrads. I was paired up with a lady who worked in Accenture. She was a technology consultant, and I hadn't even heard of consultancy before, and they paired me up with this woman. I was like, I don't know if this is a career I want to go into at all. And it was great. I got to interview her. We went for meetings every few weeks, and she helped me fix up my CV, helped me apply for internships for the summer. It was a really, really good experience, and I made connections through her then to people even that had done their Erasmus in Valencia before. She had friends that knew all about over here, so I was able to branch out and meet so many other people as well. So there's an absolute abundance of activity and opportunities surrounded by college life, and just the main thing is that you have to put yourself out there. I've met so many great people through societies, like not even just Glee. There's so many people through the ambassadors as well that are so into society life, and it's a great thing to be involved in, definitely.
Yeah, probably just not to put words in, probably just maybe expand your network and your experiences and your personal development. And it probably, well, certainly in my experience anyway, it complements kind of the in-classroom experience and the teaching and the exposure you get on that side. And to what you were saying there, the massive network and mentoring and probably lots of other things that won't even get time to talk about today, but needless to say, there's lots that goes on. There's only a couple of minutes left, so if you do have any last minute questions for Laura, just pop them in the Q&A. As said, it's anonymous, so we can get them. Laura can answer them directly here, and if not, I can follow up. And before we go, we have to do our quick fire round, because that's also very, very important. Last one I want to touch on, and again, a couple of minutes left, but last one I want to touch on is ambassador, being a student ambassador. You did touch on it there when you were giving your answer to the last question, but being a student ambassador, what goes on in that, and what do you do? What's it all about?
What don't we do at this stage? Like that's the real answer there. I've had such an amazing year last year working as a student ambassador. It was great to be I don't even know what the job title really entails. There's that much you get to do. Especially pre-COVID anyways, it was just great fun. I was working at conferences in the National Convention Centre. I was working in the Helix sometimes, pouring tea at tidy towns. And then obviously the highlight of the year really is when we get to do the open days and meet people that are maybe interested in the course, getting to talk to prospective students. And what else have we done now? No, it really is, it's been one of the highlights of my university experience by far. Like, even I'm sitting over here, I was packing my bag, I was like, I better bring my uniform with me to Spain. So no, it's been absolutely brilliant. And like the main thing coming out of it for me definitely would be the networking. Something that I wouldn't have been good at all before, but putting ourselves in situations where we'd be working with different faculties within the university and everything, you make so many connections. And not even within the university, like the friendships I've made within the student ambassadors as well, have definitely, like, whatever about settling in first year, when I went into second year, then I had a whole new group of people that I got to get to know, which was absolutely incredible.
I guess and it's probably not to overdo it in many ways as well, but there is, and you mentioned Glee, and there's 140 odd, I think, it maybe more coming to this year, but different opportunities that some people are obviously have different interests, be it sports or singing or dancing or whatever it might be. And needless to say, there's often something for everybody, and if it's not there, whatever that interest may be, you know, you can just set it up yourself. So I probably can't, as to your answer to the question, you probably can't maybe overstate it, but at the same time, there's so much that goes on.